Test, test, test. Test, test, test. All right, guys, it is currently 11:25 in the morning. Good Monday morning to you. I hope we actually have some breaking news here. Take you over here to the radar. We actually now have Hurricane Sally, which was just upgraded by the National Hurricane Center, and the hurricane hunters are currently in the eye of the hurricane flying around, and they did spot and see a winds of 85 miles per hour. So now we have Hurricane Sally, and this storm is probably, let me go ahead and show you real quick. Let me zoom in here before I do that. And as you can see, Gulf Shores is right here in Foley, and let me go ahead and show you that from downtown Gulf Shores, the center of circulation is currently 111 miles away from the coast. It is getting really nasty down there. The surf is up and the wind is probably blowing. You're going to have some rain bands that are going to be coming in here pretty soon. As you saw, the radar jog just a little bit because it just came in. So the first bands of Sally are going to hit the coast of Alabama here within the next 15 to 30 minutes. Now, once again, let me put this into motion for you. And as you can see, this storm is really starting to wrap up, and that is not a good sign. And one of the things that you look for with a rapidly strengthening hurricane is you see the presence of lightning in and around the center of circulation in the eye wall. Normal hurricanes do not produce lightning unless they get extremely strong and start to really rapidly strength. So this is a life-threatening situation ongoing here for this afternoon, this evening, and tonight, and into the day tomorrow for basically from areas of Yuma, Louisiana, all the way over to Pensacola, Florida. Because this storm is going to creep along and head towards the coast. Now, what it's probably going to do, in my best judgment, based on what I've seen from the models, is this storm is going to creep across and continue to slowly make a track like this, and ultimately come over here towards the Gulfport, Biloxi area, but I could not rule out a landfall closer to New Orleans or Slidell, Louisiana, and as it continues to go up on this path right here, it is going to slow down, it is going to possibly stall out, and it could produce anywhere from 19 to 24 inches of rain over here for inland Mississippi, southern Mississippi, and southern Alabama, and especially 10 to 15 inches with isolated 20 amounts possible for the New Orleans area. So once again, we have a Hurricane Sally right now with maximum sustained winds of 85 miles per hour. And like I said before, the lightning in the center of the storm that you see right here, all these little bitty strikes, is telling myself and the people down at the National Hurricane Center that rapidly intensifying thing if you have friends or if you live down along Mobile, coastal Baldwin, over towards Biloxi and Gulfport, Mississippi. And I'm actually starting to get a little bit concerned because some of the models are coming in that this storm could rapidly intensify and make landfall as a Category 2 or higher over here closer to the coast of Mississippi or Louisiana, and that would be really devastating for places like Waveland, Mississippi, Gulfport, and Biloxi. So let me go on and head over here to the actual internet and show you, break it down region by region. We're going to go from Birmingham to Jackson to New Orleans and then to Mobile to kind of give you guys a breakdown of what you can expect from those individual places. So once again, we have a Hurricane Sally, which is currently right now just became a hurricane at about 11:15. That's when the hurricane hunters sent in their readings to the National Hurricane Center that said that the system was actually had winds of 85 miles per hour with higher gusts. Okay, so what's going to happen is while I switch back over to the internet, the screen is going to go black for just a second, so I do apologize about that. And there it goes real quick. And let me go ahead and switch over here, and immediately you will start to see. All right, so here we go. If you are in Alabama, and especially if you are in West Alabama, including Tuscaloosa, Demopolis, Jackson, places like that, you can see that there's going to be an intense amount of rain coming with this system. And if you're down here in the Black Belt of Alabama, over here towards Butler, Alabama, Linden, Demopolis, Utah, Selma, you could see anywhere from 8 to 10 to 12 inches of rain. Jackson, Alabama, which is down in Clark County, could see 10 to 15 inches. Mobile, also 10 to 15 inches with higher amounts. But if you're up here closer to Tuscaloosa, 4 to 6 inches, but I cannot rule out any isolated amounts of 8 to 10, especially down here if you were in Duncanville, Taylorville, places like that, close to Foster's, Ralph, or Romulus, because as you can see, there is a real the darker line of orange comes down right down I-2059, and that is the difference between 4 to 6 and 8 to 10 inches of rainfall with this system. And this is going to be through 7 a.m. on Friday. Now, this starts tonight and ends 7 a.m. on Friday. So there's going to be a prolonged rain event and a significant rain event and possibly historic for places in and around Alabama, Mississippi, and of course, Louisiana. Now, as we head over to the Jackson, Mississippi area and the Jackson, Mississippi warning area, as you can see for places like Hattiesburg and Petal, places in the Pine Belt, 8 to 16 inches of rain are possible with heavier amounts likely. Widespread flash flooding is likely. Numerous roads flooded, closed, or washed out. Flooding of structures is increasingly likely, and water rescues are very possible in and around Hattiesburg and places closer down to the coast. And then up here towards Brookhaven, McGee, and Meridian, 4 to 8 inches. And then the rest of central Mississippi, you can see 2 to 6 inches of rain. So this is going to be a major wind and heavy rain producer for Mississippi and Alabama. Now, I do need to mention real quick, let me go here. As you can see, the National Weather Service in Jackson has issued a tropical storm watch for places like Hattiesburg, Petal, Brookhaven, Mississippi, Collins, Seminary, Laurel, Ellisville, because of the potential, let me go back over here, for winds of 30 to 40 sustained with gusts upwards of 50 to 60 miles per hour with this system as it moves on through central and southern Mississippi. Downed trees and power outages are very possible, and travel may become difficult for high-profile vehicles. And then, of course, in the yellow zone, you can see 30 to 40 mile per hour winds with higher gusts. And once again, there is the message from the National Hurricane Center, Hurricane Sally Tropical Cyclone Update. As of 11 a.m., the hurricane hunters found that Sally has rapidly intensified into a hurricane, and that is extremely bad news. A special advisory will be issued shortly for this intensifying Sally. And real quick, I do need to mention this. Maximum sustained winds are at 85 miles per hour. Movement is off to the west-northwest at 6 miles per hour. And the minimum central pressure is 985. But here's the key. It is 135 miles east-southeast of the Mississippi River and about 175 miles east-southeast of Biloxi, Mississippi. So that is your location of the storm currently right now. Now, if you are over in the New Orleans to Baton Rouge area, heavy rains of 8 to 16 inches with local amounts up to 24 inches will result in flash flooding across inner New Orleans and places like coastal Mississippi and coastal Alabama. Coastal inundations of 7 to 11 feet will be possible near and to the right of where the storm makes landfall. And of course, strong winds could lead to scattered damage, especially near and where the storm makes landfall, and especially if it continues to wrap up and become a stronger and stronger hurricane. Now, you may be asking, well, what are some of the impacts of 15 to 25 inches of rain? Homes and businesses will be flooded. Flooding will prompt evacuations and rescues. Flooded roads could make travel and potential evacuations very difficult. Some roads may erode from underneath, creating hitting dangers, and locations that normally do not flood will be covered in water. So we had this, with Hurricane Katrina a few years ago, many years ago, I should say, and now we possibly could have it again for the New Orleans, Louisiana area. And once again, I don't know if you can actually see this because these numbers are pretty small, but the new radar data from the Water Prediction Center, which is a branch of the National Weather Service, has total precipitation in inches accumulation of 20 inches for Gulfport and Biloxi, 19 inches of rain for the Mobile area, and unfortunately closer to 5 to 6 inches of rain for the New Orleans area right now. But if the Hurricane Sally was would go on further to the west, that would put the bullseye currently over New Orleans. So it's going to be real interesting to see what the models do with this system and how well they handle it. And give me just a second. Let me grab a sip of water. You always got to have water to wet your whistle when you go live on the air. Give me just a second. Okay, so here we go. All right, so this model is called the Hurricane Wharf model that I used last night, and I really like this model because it handled Hurricane Laura to perfection with strength, intensity, and of course placement of where the actual system made landfall. So this is the newest data from the Hurricane Wharf, and let's see where it has it. Now currently it has it right where it's supposed to be, basically on the radar. So right now let's go ahead and step this forward, and as you can see, this one wants to take it into the swamps and the marshes of far southeastern Louisiana, and let's see where it goes from there. And then it wants to turn it north and take it to a point near in between Biloxi and Waveland, Mississippi. And if that is correct, at 965 of millibars at 965, that would be approaching a Category 2 or a Category 3 hurricane with extensive damage along the coast. And as you can see, at that point, there would be an extensive band of heavy rain and possible tornadoes that are lifting up through northern Baldwin and northern Mobile counties. Now, this, of course, this scenario would put New Orleans on the drier west side of the storm and put the majority of the heavy rain towards the Mobile and the Baldwin County areas, and especially along the Biloxi and Gulfport area closer to Waveland, Mississippi, and Picayune. And then from there, it takes it on north up to a point near Petal and Hattiesburg, and then that would put a lot of rain. If that was the case, that would put a lot of rain and thunderstorms and heavy rain and potential for tornadoes into the Wednesday time frame for places like Tuscaloosa and Birmingham, because Tuscaloosa would be right up in here. And let's see what it does with it after that. It cuts it across west and south Alabama. And then from there, let's see where it goes. And it just kind of meanders itself around there, which would not be a good thing. And this one actually, well, tries to put it back in the Gulf into Saturday. Okay, so that's interesting. So when you're talking about millibars of down to 965 millibars, if you're talking about a pressure, that's usually a high-end Category 2, possibly a Category 3 hurricane with winds somewhere between 115 and 130 miles per hour. And unfortunately, a Category 3 is what Hurricane Ivan was, that wiped out Gulf Shores and Orange Beach years back. So Hurricane Ivan was a Category 3 hurricane. Now, I'm not saying that this is set in stone, that this one is going to be a Category 3 at landfall. But of course, this one model, which handled so well, actually really handled it well. And so I'll use this one as well. So this one says a high-end Category 2, maybe a Category 3 making landfall over southeast Louisiana and then moving north towards the Waveland, Picayune, Biloxi, and Gulfport areas of Mississippi. All right, so that is the Hurricane Wharf. Let me take you over here and show you the North American model. And I've actually not seen this model yet. So let me back out. Come on. There we go. Okay, so this is currently where it is right now. Let's see. All right, so let's walk this through, and as you can see, it just continues to sit there, and it just meanders around, and that is why we have the potential for an extensive amount of historical flooding across the area of South Mississippi, South Alabama, and Louisiana, is because this system is just going to creep along, and as you can see, by Tuesday, which is tomorrow, it has it coming into Louisiana. And this one also wants to make landfall on the Mississippi Gulf Coast near Waveland, Mississippi, Gulfport, and Biloxi as well. And let's see what it does once it makes itself inland. Right now, it would be basically over Hattiesburg Wednesday. And actually, if this model verified, this one wants to take it from Hattiesburg to Meridian up the interstate. And I tell you what, that would really put Tuscaloosa in the bullseye. If the 3-kilometer NAM was correct, that would put Tuscaloosa in the bullseye for possibly 8 to 10 inches of rain and isolated tornadoes, because we would be in the right front quadrant of the storm, which actually does have the best potential for seeing tornadoes with a landfalling hurricane. Okay, so the NAM wants to take it into Waveland and Gulfport as usual. Just again, okay, let's see about this model. Okay, this model right here, which is our scan of the North American model, this one wants to make landfall, take it into Orange Beach, Mobile, and Gulf Shores right here, which would be sometime Wednesday. Now, if that was the case, then everything would be needed to be shifted off to the east a little bit, and Tuscaloosa wouldn't see that much rain at all because the system would ultimately cut across southeast Alabama. So that would be the best scenario for Tuscaloosa and the worst scenario for the coast of Alabama. All right, and one more. Let's go to the GFS. And let me back this out. And of course, this one also wants to take it in closer to Waveland, Picayune, and Gulfport and Biloxi, Mississippi. And from there, where does it go? It goes into southeast, southwest Alabama, and it eventually up towards a Selma, Montgomery area. All right, so basically, once again, if you're just now joining me, I am Stephen Ray, aka Stingray, and we are going through the model data for Hurricane Sally. So let me go on ahead now, since I've done all of that. Screen is going to go black again. Okay, so there, once again, is Hurricane Sally. Give me just a second. I don't think it has popped up for you guys yet. Give me just a second. All right. There we go. All right. So there is Hurricane Sally, continuing to push on off and creep off to the west-northwest. And as you can see, there's a lot of lightning, and this system is starting to wrap up again. Let me check another radar. Oh, yes, that thing is really wrapping up. It is spinning like a top. And I would not be surprised to see this thing ramp up to a Category 2 hurricane very soon. So let me go ahead and back out and show you. Give me just a second. That there is absolutely nothing going on the radar up here towards Tuscaloosa. It is dry. The majority of the weather is in South Mississippi and South Alabama. Let me take you in here for a closer look. You can see some of the starting or feeder bands of Hurricane Sally are coming up here towards Central Lucedale, and Saucer, Mississippi. Central Nail is, of course, over here in Alabama. Let me put this into motion for you. And as you see, it just continues to spin. But this storm, I'm telling you guys, this storm is starting to give me a little bit of a queasy stomach because it looks like it is trying to intensify quite rapidly. And that's a real muddy picture. All right. Okay, so they're right there. They're right here, right over this light pink area. You can see that there is a wind gust above the surface of 68 miles per hour, and that right there is hurricane force. Okay, so anything 74 or above would be a hurricane force winds. So this storm is definitely a hurricane with winds upwards of 70. Thought I just saw an 80 in there somewhere. Hold on. There's a 79. Okay, so there's your 80 mile per hour winds that's verified from the hurricane hunters inside the center and the eye wall of Hurricane Sally. So once again, this is a major, major threat. So basically, let me show you where I do believe this system will make landfall and where I think the potential could still exist. I think if you were anywhere from Slidell, I think anybody in this circle is probably going to get the majority of the damaging hurricane force winds as this system makes landfall. It's going to make landfall between Slidell, Killen, Gulfport, and Pascagoula, Mississippi. However, I could not rule out a landfall in this zone, because some of the models wanted to take it up Mobile Bay, some of the other models wanted to take it closer to New Orleans. So basically, anybody that is in this zone right here really needs to pay attention to the track of Hurricane Sally, because this thing is really wrapping up and it is slowing down as it's approaching the coast, and this is a very bad thing. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to be here all day and all night, and as this thing continues to approach the coast, we have any other updates, I will be breaking back here on social media, and of course tonight, as we get closer to landfall, wherever that may be, I will do longer form coverage, and as always, calling hurricanes do have to worry potential. Let me show you. In these bands, in these outer eye wall of hurricanes, you have to worry about isolated spin-up tornadoes that form in hurricanes. So as this system gets closer to the coast, if there are any tornado warnings, you know old Stingray will be right here on social media providing updates, and as always, life-threatening information to help you guys understand the severity of this situation. So I hope everybody has a wonderful day, a wonderful evening. Do not worry about this, because I will be here to help you guys get through it. If you're nervous, if you're anxious about it, I will be here to help you guys get through this. I love doing this. I love letting you guys know that there is another way and another avenue of having severe weather in case your power goes out, your cable goes out. Just know that Stephen Ray will always be here to help you. So once again, I'm going to sign off for now, but once again, I will be here watching this throughout the day and tonight, and be doing frequent updates starting after 5 o'clock this afternoon and this evening. Have a great day, and as always, stay safe and God bless.